This link is for 4th grade going along with the story Amazing Ants. If you go ahead and make sure your Treasures textbook is open to page 760 and 761, this is where we're going to go ahead and begin. First off, I'd like to go over the vocabulary words that we're going to encounter in this unit. Astronomer, and an astronomer studies the stars. Today's fine telescopes make it easy to see like an astronomer. Investigates. If someone investigates something, he or she finds out about it. A botanist investigates the life of plants. Solitary. A solitary creature lives alone. Ant is not solitary since he lives in a town and has a big family. Territory. Territory of an animal is the area in which it lives. Buffalo territory was almost disappeared when the West was settled. Communication. Communication is an exchange of information. Scientists are interested in dolphin communication. Nutrients. Nutrients are vitamins and minerals needed for life. Nutrients from plants feed fish. Prehistoric. People in prehistoric times lived before recorded history. Many prehistoric people hunted and collected nuts and berries. Overcome. If you overcome something, you rise above it. Phil worked very hard to overcome his shyness. Okay, now if you would just go ahead and direct your attention to page 760, 761, we are going to read the story Amazing Ants. It's by Tara Rosati. What do you want to be when you grow up? Perhaps a scientist who investigates ants. Find out how these insects are. Social insects. There are about 10,000 different kinds of ants. Most are not solitary, but live in groups called colonies. Ants are everywhere, but they prefer their territory to be in warm and never where it's very cold. Communication vary. Some tap on the outside of their nest to alert the ants that food or enemy is nearby. Other ants can make singing or buzzing sounds. Ants also make chemicals that other ants smell. Each chemical communicates different information to the colony. Dairying ants. These ants got most of their nutrients. Dairying ants milk aphids. In exchange for the juice, dairy the aphids against other insects. Some dairying ants are babysitters. They keep aphid eggs in their nest during the winter. Then when the eggs hatch, the ants place the baby aphids on plants. Fungus growers. Some ants are gardeners, fungi that the colony can eat. These ants gather leaves and other things from outside the nest. Then they bring them inside to utilize in their fungi gardens. And ants have lived on Earth for a long time. They have been found in prehistoric pieces of amber. This is material that existed during the time of the dinosaurs. These tiny creatures have had to overcome many challenges in order to survive, and ants are here to stay. Now, with that being said, I'm going to talk a little bit about our comprehension strategy we're going to actually be focusing on this week, and that strategy is going to be the description, analyzing text structure. Okay? Now, authors may structure the information they present in a variety of ways. A paragraph may define or classify. It may list examples using words such as, for example, such as, like or is like, include, or which shows. It may also describe the characteristics of the subject. Now, Webb, okay, to help us understand the text structure of this story. With that being said, let me just reiterate a few more things. That a text structure that uses description to present information is almost always found in nonfiction stories. When using description, an author includes many details to explain how people experience something through their 5 senses or how something works. Description helps the readers understand a topic that has many variations of parts. Now, as you read and as we reread the story together, I want you to look for details that are organized into sections or groups. When an author breaks complicated information down into smaller parts, the reader is better able to understand and remember that specific topic. With that being said, let's go ahead and direct our attention back to the story Amazing Ants, which is by Tara Rosati. What do you want to be when you grow up? Perhaps an astronomer who studies the stars, perhaps a scientist who investigates ants. Find out how interesting these insects are. Social insects. There are about 10,000 different kinds of ants. Most are not solitary, but live in groups called colonies. Ants are everywhere, but they prefer their territory. To be in warm climates and never where it's cold. Communication among ants vary. Some tap on the outside of their nest to alert the ants inside the food or enemies are nearby. Other ants can make squeaking or buzzing sounds. Ants also make chemicals that other ants in the colony can smell. Each chemical communicates different information to the colony. Okay, now there's a lot of information on this page that I just got done reading. To help me understand all the details, I'm going to go ahead and identify how the author uses description to organize the text. Now, after a paragraph that includes the topic, the author uses the heading Social Insects. This shows what kind of information that she's going to go ahead and talk about in the next two paragraphs. Now, as I read, I will pay attention to the other headings so that I'm going to try to understand the facts one section at a time. Okay, with that being said, my major topic here is going to be ants are social insects. And the details that we're in that section, we have, let's see, ants live in colonies and prefer warm climates. Some ants communicate by tapping outside the nest. Some ants communicate by making squeaking or buzzing sounds. And then, of course, ants communicate by making and smelling chemical messages. Okay, now let's go ahead and finish reading up the rest of these sections. Dairying ants. These ants got their name from the way that they get most of their nutrients. Dairying ants milk insects called aphids. In exchange for the juice, dairying ants protect the aphids against other insects. Some dairying ants are also babysitters. They keep aphid eggs in their nest during the winter, and then when the eggs hatch, the ants place the babies on the plants. Now, if we're going to just go ahead and look at that section of dairying ants, of course our topic would be dairying ants, and then each one of these details here would just be the details that we just read about in dairying ants. Okay, so the whole purpose of this descriptive web is to help organize the information you've read, okay, and making it valid and making it a good way for you to, I don't know, possibly even take notes on some information if you're getting a lot of nonfiction information, especially, let's take, for example, your Colorado Explorer report that you guys are doing. You guys have probably had to do a lot of reading, and with that reading, you've gone ahead and you've, had to write some notes. This web would be a great way to go ahead and outline some of the information that you read. Let's go ahead and finish this up. Fungus growers. Some ants are gardeners. They grow fungi that the colony can eat. These ants gather leaves, flower petals, and other things from the outside of the nest. Then they bring them inside to use as fertilizer in their fungi garden. Ant survival. Ants have lived on Earth for a long time, and they have been found on prehistoric pieces of amber. This is material that exists during the time of the dinosaurs. So these tiny creatures have had to overcome many challenges in their order to survive, and ants are here to stay. Okay, that goes ahead and concludes this link. Of course, if you have further questions or concerns about authors' descriptions, go ahead and don't hesitate to contact me either at the Learning Center, during my office hours, or phone or email.